Welcome, folks. We're going to do a political commentary, and as I normally do, I let you know this is my own personal opinion, my own personal studies. Therefore, it is my own intellectual right to say what I'm going to say here. And as a pastor and a patriot, I like to line up certain biblical principles with the Bible and take a look at what's going on in our world today. So that's what I do in these. This is some of my own opinion, and some of it is factual. You can check what I'm saying. So, as my opinion and as my personal studies, I put this out here. Again, I say it is my own intellectual property, and it is up to you to believe what you want to believe. But let's go forward and do this. This is number 9, my political commentary number 9. We're talking about the state of the United States today. And I'm just going to do a quick brief overview because there's a lot going on. I thought it was a good time to do a political commentary. And I am interrupting my Matthew series to do this, so I will get back at you hopefully by the weekend with another Matthew lesson. And for you folks that know, we do have an outreach program coming up at Roger Williams Park this Saturday. Roger Williams Park in Providence, Rhode Island, 12 to 4 from Grace Bible Church, gbible.org, where I'm an associate pastor. We are doing an outreach program. Please come see us. Bring family and friends and support us or keep us in prayer. Either way, I'll try to do some video footage from there as well, and I'll put it up. So hopefully that'll be 2 more videos I'll get out by Sunday night. Today's Tuesday. We'll see what happens. So going forward, political commentary number 9, state of our states today. Every president except 2 since 1963 have been either influenced, manipulated, or outright owned by Illuminati families up until Donald J. Trump. The exceptions being JFK and Ronald Reagan. And when I say influenced, I don't always mean they're owned and operated. Some are, yes, absolutely some are. In fact, some we can look back on recent history, I believe are owned and operated under the name of Clinton, Obama, and yes, even the Bushes. But there are some that are just influenced in history, throughout history, that had to do certain things because that's the way the game is played. So understand that. But there are 2 that I believe were not, that went against the grain, and those exceptions would be JFK and Ronald Reagan, obviously, up until Donald J. Trump was not influenced, I believe, by any of these families. Both JFK and Ronald Reagan questioned the powers behind the scenes, like the CIA, the Federal Reserve, NSA, Council for Foreign Relations, CFR, etc. Those type of organizations. Owned and operated by what? Other wealthy families that set these things up, not the government. That's a lie. JFK was assassinated, folks. We know that. So one of the 2 is already killed. The second one, Ronald Reagan, had an attempt on his life in 1981. Remember that? Go back on the newsreels. Take a look at it. 1981. I believe both Roosevelts that were involved in presidencies, both Roosevelts, they were related, they were distant cousins, and Woodrow Wilson may have been influenced as well. We could throw out a few others here and there, but I would say going back that far, there's a few others along the way. But I was just looking since 1963, after the JFK assassination, since around JFK. So when you look at those kind of things, we see who's been running and owning and operating our government behind the scenes. There's been influence. If people aren't outright owned and operated, they are influenced to follow the leader, follow what everybody else is doing. That's really what we have with the majority of the Republicans and Democrats. They follow, once they get in office for a long period of time, the herd. And a lot of them are entrapped by different things they get caught doing or favors that they owe over a period of time. So they get their snowball effect. They're more and more entwined. And that's what happens. Then they're owned and operated. America has been deeply changed from within since the 1900s. I tell you guys this all the time. It started slowly with financial control, then covert operations. Like I said, CIA, NSA, getting involved in foreign countries, overthrowing foreign governments, foreign lands, robbing foreign dictators, and treasonous actions against its own citizens right here in America. The educational system and the media were infected along the way. Both political parties were infiltrated as well. All of those things. It was one thing after another, like a domino effect. First you saw in the early 1900s, financially, they got their grip on it. Now there are those that believe the British Empire never lost its control. That way back in 1776 or shortly thereafter, the British Empire made certain deals or infiltrated our founding fathers even and kept a handle on us. There is some documents, there is some proof to that. Maybe that's a fact. But I can tell you here in America, from what I can see in the early 1900s, the financial pillar was the first thing they got a hold of. All right, that's one of the first things they got a hold of. Secondly, what they did was come in and start with the covert operations. All the three-letter agencies started to get developed and funded. And that's what happened. That's the covert stuff. Then they started even becoming treasonous against their own citizens. And then what happens next? The educational system, infect that. That started happening in the 50s and 60s. Getting deeply involved in the educational system. Very progressive-minded, very globalist-minded. The media were infected. Shortly after the news media was infected, it bleeds into Hollywood and the celebrities. And then along the way, both political parties. Both political parties. There's very little difference between both of them. This was all orchestrated, folks, by a handful of wealthy families and the British royalty from way back when. Also, all in bed with the Vatican and Rome, believe me when I tell you. The lust of wealth, the lust of power, and sexual perversion tied them together all at some point, and it was demonic from the start. So we know Satan has used these historic power brokers that I have on the board right here as pawns. Because everybody wants to look, like I said, our battle's not against flesh and blood. Everybody wants to look at the flesh and blood, say this person, this family, that politician, this one, that one. It's a satanic agenda with flesh puppets, pawns. But yes, there are powerful families that are influenced, and they're into some demonic stuff. And they are, yes, all connected, along with old school British royalty from way back when, even up into nowadays, and the Vatican and Rome. The condition we are in today has been brewing since the cross of Jesus Christ, no doubt about it. Some of the core worship, listen to me now, the core worship satanic rituals date back to the Canaanites and the Babylonian Empire, even Egypt, all the way back, because it's a worship of fallen angels is really what it comes down to. I've mentioned this before. You've seen it in my studies. It's not hard to find. It was the early empires, later on, like Rome, the Roman Empire, that came along and controlled the Jews during Jesus' day, and they went on in power for a long period of time. Then later on, the British Empire that kept these secret cults alive. They kept this kind of stuff alive, which would breed into the wealthy families, the upper echelon, which later on we know as the Illuminatis became in the 1800s. They're controlling the military, the political aspects of whole countries, getting involved in whole countries behind the scenes, making sure certain people are voted in. The ones that are voted in are controlled and owned and operated. One way to do that is money, obviously. Another way is you catch somebody or set somebody up either with favors that they owe you, or you catch them in a very perverse situation, or you make that perverse situation happen. Then that person wants to keep it a secret. Now you own them. They have lots of ways to play these games. It's been going on for a long time, folks. A long time. I'll give you a moment to take the note on the board. The condition we are in today has been brewing since the cross of Jesus Christ. Trust me when I tell you that at that point, the church age was getting ready to be kicked off, and Satan got very upset because he could see the victory was being pulled right from his grasp at the cross. So at some point or another, he got fired up there. Some of the core worship, though, the satanic rituals that goes on today, and it's going to be exposed, I'm telling you, date back to the Canaanites, the Babylonian Empire, way, way back. And it's really about fallen angels. And it was early empires like the stronghold of the Roman Empire that went on for a long time, and later on the British Empire, that kept these secret cults alive. They actually breathed them back to life. And the wealthy families behind the scenes are the ones that owned and operated all this. It's always how it's been. History repeats itself. Once the Vatican and the British Empire emerged as financial giants sometime after the 12th century, this unholy alliance developed at a rapid pace, and wealthy families made sure to gain land, to get their hands on gold, and secure future generations. Okay, it started back then. So then the cousins and the uncles and the brothers and the sons and the daughters are taken care of. But because there was huge grabs for land and gold and power and authority. And the Vatican was famous for this as well. Why do you think they're the wealthiest business in the world? They are. And guess who they're close friends with and have financial ties to? A European family called the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds have ties to the Rockefellers. And we can go into J.P. Morgan, then you can go into guys like George Soros, and then you can go into, J. Paul Getty. I mean, all these different names, we can throw them all out there. Yes, they're all little weaving in connections here and there. But there are upper echelons. There is maybe 3 or 4 families at the very, very top that run everything. Everybody else is underneath them. And yes, they own and operate presidents. Certainly Clintons and Bushes and Obamas. It is also within this era, actually, that incest within families was encouraged to keep bloodlines pure, okay? Secret societies, secret meetings, along with satanic rituals, began to cement families to other families. Okay, they began to cement families to other families, certain wealthy families doing these secret things behind the scenes. All of this is a repeat of history, basically, dating back to Egyptian pharaohs of old. Dates all the way back. All this incest and keeping in the family and secret handshakes and secret satanic rituals and getting the upper echelon involved and staying close with certain families. This family doing business only with that family. Then they control everything below them. It's been going on for a long time. Goes back to the pharaohs in Egypt. All of this stuff. These secret societies rituals involved worship of ancient gods and goddesses. Again, I'll point you to fallen angels, really. Animal and human sacrifices. A lot of people lose sight of that. Pedophilia is very big with all this. Sexual orgies, as well as human slavery. All big part of all this stuff. These practices began in ancient Middle Eastern cultures. Okay? This explains the connection we have today between Illuminati families that are whether it's over in Europe or here in America, obviously stronger over in Europe, and Islamic leadership, a group like the Muslim Brotherhood. A lot of connections going on there. They like a lot of the same things. They do a lot of the same things. And believe me, when the oil sprung up in the Middle East, there were certain families there that got promoted, and they were welcomed into the Illuminati groups, like the Illuminati does with certain celebrities that reach a certain status that they can use, certain media outlets that they own and operate. It's all in the family, a cabal, as they say, right? President Trump is a complete outsider. I'm getting to the point to be 100% sure of that. Complete outsider. Now, he may have had business dealings, loans, or even affiliations with Illuminati families or the Muslim Brotherhood. That is only because, listen to me, that is only because they have had their hands in so many banks, so many businesses, and politics. It's unavoidable, folks. It's unavoidable. That's why I think they're going to dig enough and find something. It's unavoidable to be a millionaire, a worldwide traveling businessman that sells hotels and real estates and golf courses and gets involved in all kinds of deals. You're going to rub shoulders, shake hands, make deals, and sit down to lunch with different people that are connected to some pretty shady people. And even if you don't know it, some of the people you associate might have business deals with them as well. But I believe 100% he's an outsider. Everything I can tell you, he is. President Trump, think about this, was one of the first and only strong voices that called for Barack Obama's birth certificate back in 2009. He ran for president, 07, 08. Never showed up with a birth certificate. That was a big knock on him, right? He didn't even produce it in 2000 until 2011, and the one he produced was so pristine it had question marks behind it. But President Trump was one of the loudest and first voices on that bandwagon. Think about that. And even when it was finally produced in 2011, President Trump, Donald Trump at the time, never agreed with this authenticity. It was him and maybe a handful of other people. And I believe it is because Donald J. Trump had already been approached for the run for president at that point. Sometime maybe in 2009, 2010, whatever. I think he had already been let in on a few things. If you do your research on Barack Obama and look in my book, like I said, I raised all the question marks in there. There are question marks about Social Security numbers. His records are sealed. Certain colleges he went to, or schools he went to, question marks behind all of that stuff. Is he an American citizen? If you're asking me, personal opinion, no, he is not. He is what you call a Manchurian candidate. He was an implant from the CIA or the Illuminati families, which owns and operates the Federal Reserve and the CIA. Okay, and I think it's going to be exposed. I think it's going to be exposed about who and what he is. I know he's connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. I'm just telling you that. My personal opinion, again, I put it out there. We're on video feed, so I'm letting you know my personal opinion. What we are seeing now is a military operation, intelligence operation, really, with Donald Trump as president, that has been in the works for years. For years. There's a handful of white hats behind the scenes. And I believe they were in the military or military intelligence or maybe retired generals or maybe they were active military guys, but they got involved. A handful of patriots are trying to stop the dismantling of the American government and policies designed to cripple us from within. That's what's been going on. This has been the slow creep, folks, a slow creep of globalist one world agenda, progressive agenda, which used political leaders, media, Hollywood and educational systems, along with everything else, big pharmaceutical, a lot of other things. But those are some core things right there. Political leaders, media, news media, which are owned and operated. The real big ones are owned and operated, and they're told what to say. Hollywood elite, Hollywood producers, directors, there's certain movies that you see certain things that were symbols and signs for things. Educational system was infected way back in the 50s, probably before then. Okay? Those are the things we've seen. It's a slow creep. It's been a slow creep. It's been a dismantling of the American male, a neutering of the American male, a breakup of the American family, a push away against Christianity. It's all on purpose, folks. I'm not lying to you. This is on purpose. It's purposefully done. We have the IG report, the first one that came out. There's another one coming out. This is only the first step. First step. We have computers and witnesses that will be giving us more information and testimony. Trust me when I tell you. Just trust it. Trust what's going on. I believe it's going to have to be a slow leak, a slow walkout, because if we find out, if you guys knew everything I found out in the last year and a half or so, since I published my book, 2017 it went out, but I studied for it 2014 to 2016 with information. So all these years I've been putting things together and looking at things. If it was to be released all in the course of 1 week, you'd be amazed and shocked, and there'd be rage in the streets at the criminal activity, the treason, and the sick behaviors behind the scenes. So we have the IG report out. Yes, there's more coming. There's computers and emails going to be exposed. There's witnesses right now. There are people flipping because they got caught. They're going to open their mouth and say things. So there's more testimony coming. From what I understand, there's 35,000 sealed indictments. 35,000. I think it's pretty accurate. I get pretty good sources. If that's the case, that's a lot. There's been over 2,500 pedophiles arrested worldwide that you're not hearing about. Some of them are low-level guys who just do things on the internet, but some of them were traffickers that move children around for different type of sexual satanic behaviors and orgies and whatnot. Sick stuff. Many of the resignations we see, do a search, check out the CEOs that resigned, look at all the politicians resigning, the resignations, the suicides, accidental deaths, crashes, plane crashes, bombs going off, shootings, like I said, weird things. In this past year or so, they're all connected. They're all connected. Majority are connected. I just found out recently that definitely the Las Vegas shooter was not by himself. 3 other people might have been in the room, even if it was 2 other people. And some are saying, well, it was a couple of prostitutes. They don't know that for sure. They have no idea. I'm hearing different things about some Middle Eastern guys connected with this guy as well. But we're not hearing it on the news. Why is that? Who controls the media? Think about that. Suicides, accidental deaths, all is connected, folks. We have had a 300% increase of attempted crossings. 300% attempted crossings at our borders since President Donald Trump got in office. What do you think that's all about? You don't think that's on purpose? You don't think there's money and promotions behind the scenes in places like Mexico, South America, Africa, Middle East, pushing, trying to get people there? Think about it. Political division, it's increasing. Celebrities, news outlets, politicians are getting more aggressive. This is all by design. All by design. They're attacking now. Their back is against the wall. They've come to realize what a lot of folks behind the scenes have started to realize in the last 7 to 8 months, that there is definitely a military presence with or about Donald Trump that is helping him with certain things. Now, there might not be a lot of them, because like I said, I don't think he has a lot of good people surround him, but there's enough, and they've gathered enough information, they've secured enough documents, phone calls, emails, surveillance things, and they've probably been doing it for the better part of 4 or 5 years, so they got some good information. Hopefully they can bring it all forward. Since 1989, look at these stats. If you think our government's been doing a great job. Since 1989, our government has lost track of 20 trillion with a T. 20 trillion American dollars. Magically disappeared. Like the gold with Muammar Gaddafi and the Clinton and Obama administration, a lot of gold disappeared when he was killed. Where does it all go? 20 trillion American dollars. Let's explain that one first. Drug abuse, through the roof. Collapse of the American family, skyrocketing. Since 1989, do the statistics. The Muslim Brotherhood has attached itself to the fabric of America since the 90s. Since the 90s. And listen to this one. Rough estimate, folks. It was hard to do the research. You can't even come up with the right numbers. Rough estimate, 30 million. 30 million children worldwide have gone missing. That's only reported since 1989. It's a lot of little kids gone. A lot. Where did they go? Where did they go? Government programs have increased, have they not? Absolutely. Dramatically, actually. Social Security is depleted. They're lying to you. They've stolen that. True Christianity decreased. Certainly here in America. And I'm talking about a lot of this is America. We've been lied to and we've been spied upon, and we know it now. It's not phony, it's not fake anymore. And by our own government. That's just the short list I'm putting here. This is just the short list I'm putting here. So write it down. Take a look at it. 20 trillion American dollars gone. You can't explain where it's gone. Nobody knows. In fact, I think it was Donald Rumsfeld, who's like one of the globalists, one of the black hats, bad guys, who said something like, it was a math error, we just can't seem to figure it out. And he was talking when it was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 trillion, and they realized it was way more than that. But if you go back to since about 1989, we can't find 20 trillion. Think about that. What about 30 million children? Rough estimate. Reported. What about the ones not reported? 30 million worldwide children since 1989. Poof. Disappeared. Gone. Interesting, right? Government programs through the roof. Social Security falling apart, almost depleted. Christianity, it's a joke now. It's a joke. You got a few good, strong churches here and there, but I mean, it's really, Christianity's really watered down, is pushed to the side. We're lied to and spied upon by our government. All factual. All factual. So you think about it. We got a lot of things going on. You got a lot of things that are going to be happening. And like I said recently in one of my lessons, I think I'm probably a month or 2 behind where I thought we would be. But now I'm realizing how much stuff they're going to have to open up and show, and how many people are going to have to flip and turn witness. And so that's not going to be a 5 or a 6 week thing that's just going to all of a sudden happen. It runs much deeper. It's going on. That Nexium thing that was in upstate New York, it's actually spread out all over the place. It's from Mexico. It's all over the place. All kinds of folks involved in that. It's a sexual underground kind of kinky thing that they were all into, politicians and celebrities and whatnot. Problem is, what they weren't telling you was a lot of underage folks involved in that. Okay? Sick stuff. A lot of sick stuff going on. And it is going to get exposed if this president can stay safe. I'd suggest you watch this again, pay attention, keep your eyes open, because we talked about false flags on this page before. Some of you guys know about it. Keep your eyes and ears open. That flood at the border it's not by accident. It's on purpose. They're trying to collapse the American society. There's a full-on attack going on, and you're starting to hear it from even the politicians, and the ones that speak and yell the loudest. Listen to me now. The ones that either disappear, they step down out of the limelight, or they speak and yell the loudest, whether it's a celebrity, your favorite movie star, or a politician, or a news anchor. The ones that speak and scream the loudest against this president are the most guilty. The most guilty. They are in the fight. Now it comes to realization. Maybe a couple months ago, they didn't think it was that bad. He'd only go so far. But now, because the stuff with the FBI, the tip of the iceberg with the IG report was opened up. The can of worms was opened up, and you only got about a quarter of the can out. We still got another 3/4 of a can to dump out. Hopefully it gets all dumped out. That's my concern. Because, like I said, this president doesn't know who he can trust. He really doesn't. So keep it all in prayer. I don't know. I'm just going to keep my... there's some interesting things I found out about Hawaii, too. And a company owned by the Rothschilds that happens to do fracking. Know anything about fracking? Well, fracking has to do with digging in the ground, which causes problems with earthquakes and whatnot. Does a lot of, geometrical problems, whatever the word is, with the ground. What do they got going on over there? Volcanoes blowing off left and right. And there's a company owned by the Rothschilds. You got to follow the money. It doesn't say Rothschild on the building, but it's owned by them, and they happen to do some fracking. Not that far from where the volcano was, too. I just find all this stuff interesting. So keep it in prayer. Every head is bowed, every eye is closed. Father, we thank you for this time we've had. Hopefully we can go forward again, Father. I know I'm just putting my own research and opinion out there, Father, but in biblical end times, we know a lot of these things start to line up, and we're asking you, Father, to protect and guide us, Father. Protect those that are the good guys, Father, that are doing the right thing, and the remnant of positive believers. Let's move us forward in your plan, Father, when we are ready for the rapture. When it comes, we're in exciting times, Father. We love you through your Son's precious name, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.